Hello students, welcome you to my English grammar class. In our previous period, we discussed about the part 1 of subject-verb agreement. But today, we will go to discuss the second part of the same topic, subject-verb agreement. Look at the board. If the subject is police or people or poultry or castle or fog, it takes plural verbs like are, were, have, had, V1. V1 means the present form of the verb. V2 means the past form of the verb. And modals can, could, shall, should, etc. present and past. Now, we will go to see the examples. The police have not caught the thief. Here the subject is the police. So, it takes the plural verb have. Second example, the people of Odisha are rice eaters. So, the subject is the people of Odisha and the people is the head noun. So, it takes the plural verb are. Example 3, the poultry have been fed. The poultry is subject and it takes the plural verb have. If clothing, food, furniture, cutlery, stationery, crockery, jewelry, one of them will be the subject, then it takes the singular verb like is, was, has, V6. V6 means S or ES form of the verb, and V2 past form of the verb, had, modals present and past. Now, we will go to the example. His clothing is very attractive. Here the subject is his clothing and it takes the singular verb is. In example 2, the furniture needs to be repaired. The furniture is subject and it takes the singular verb needs, the S form of the verb. Next, when a subject phrase begins with either of, neither of, none of, if one of them followed by a plural noun or pronoun, it takes the singular verb is, was, has, V6 means S or ES form of the verb, V2 had and modals. Now, we will go to the example. Either of the students has not awarded. Here, either of the students is a subject phrase and it begins with either of and it takes the singular verb has. In example 2, none of them is the subject phrase and it begins with none of and it followed by the plural pronoun them and it takes singular verb has. When a subject phrase begins with each of or one of, it takes singular verb is, was, has, V6, V2, had and modals. Let's discuss some examples. Each of the students has got a prize. The sentence begins with each of and it takes singular verb has. Example 2, one of the students was able to answer the question. The sentence begins with one of and it takes the singular verb was. No or some. If one of them followed by uncountable noun, then it takes singular verb. Like this, Now, we will discuss some examples. No water is available here. The sentence begins with no, and water is uncountable noun, so it takes the singular for is. In example 2, only some milk is left in the glass. Now, the sentence begins with only some, then milk is uncountable noun and it takes the singular for is. If no or some, one of these two is followed by a plural noun, then it takes the plural for are, were, have, had, V1, V2 modals. Let's discuss some examples. No children have completed their projects. Here, no children is subject phrase, begins with no and it is followed by a plural noun children and it takes plural for have. In example 2, some students is the subject phrase, begins with some and it is followed by the plural noun, then it takes the plural for are. No child is allowed here. Here, no child is the subject phrase, begins with no, but it is followed by a singular noun like child and it takes the singular for is. Next, two titles or designations are connected with end of a same person and it becomes the subject of a sentence, then it takes singular verb like this. Let us discuss some examples. The Vice President of India, Chairman of Rajya Sabha, these two titles are joined with and it is a same person, so it takes the singular verb has. Now, two titles or designations are connected with and of two persons and it becomes the subject of a sentence, then it takes plural verbs like this. Let us discuss some examples. The Vice President of India, a designation. The Speaker of Lok Sabha, another designation. And these two designations are joined with and they both are considered as two persons and they take plural verb have. Now, when we will go to talk about two persons, we use the definite article the before each title. We used the before Vice President of India. We used the before Speaker of Lok Sabha. Next, if the subject begins with a fraction and if a singular noun follows the fraction, it takes the singular verb. Let us discuss the example. 2/3 of the crop has been damaged. Here 2/3 is a fraction and it is followed by an uncountable noun crop, then it takes the singular verb has. If the subject begins with a fraction and if a plural noun follows the fraction, it takes the plural verb. Example, 2/3 of the oranges are rotten. Here 2/3 is a fraction, oranges is a plural noun and it takes the plural verb are. If the subject begins with a good deal of or a great deal of or a lot of or plenty of or most of or some of, if singular noun follows the phrases, it takes the singular verb. Example, some of the music was superb. Here the sentence begins with sum of and it is followed by the uncountable noun, singular noun, music, and it takes the singular verb was. If the subject begins with the same, a good deal of, a great deal of, a lot of, plenty of, most of, and some of. If plural noun follows the phrases, it takes plural verb. Example, some of the children are naughty. Here the sentence begins with some of and it is followed by a plural countable noun, then it takes the plural verb are. These all are statistics, physics, mathematics, news, economics, measles, mumps, advice, scenery, jewelry, information. These all are uncount nouns and they always take singular verbs. Let's discuss the examples. Mathematics is my favorite subject. Mathematics is subject. It is uncount noun. It takes the singular verb is. An example 2, your information is true. Your information is the subject. It is uncountable noun. It takes the singular verb is. A number of, if followed by a plural noun, it takes plural verbs. A number of, it is followed by plural noun scholars and now takes the plural verb are. But the number of, followed by a plural noun, it always takes singular verb. Example, the number of books is 20. Here the number of, followed by plural noun books, but it takes the singular verb is. If a clause separates the subject from the verb, if the subject is singular, it takes the singular verb. Example, the piano which you gave me is a very good one. Here, which you gave me is a clause. Now, it separates the subject, the piano, from the main clause. The piano is singular, then it takes the singular verb is. But if a clause separates the subject from the verb, if the subject is plural, it takes plural verb. Example, all the books which have been placed on the shelf are mine. Which have been placed on the shelf is a clause. It separates the subject all the books from the verb are. All the books is plural and it takes the plural verb are. When a subject phrase begins with a crowd of, a flock of, a group of, a head of, and a regiment of, it takes singular verb. Let's discuss the examples. A crowd of people was shouting slogans. The sentence begins with a crowd of, so it takes the singular verb was. In example 2, a head of sheep is going along the street. The sentence begins with a head of and takes the singular verb is. Today we completed the part 2 of your English grammar topic subject verb agreement. Did you understand? Yes. Thank you children. Bye bye.